Hey guys, and thank you so very much for being here. I'm so excited to talk about last night's episode. Quickly, I want to mention that I had a lot of issues setting up this live chat today. And I've never had this before, but it kept telling me like I wasn't authorized to do this, and it kept rejecting every time I tried to set it up. So I'm hoping everything is fine, but since I've never seen that before, if something really strange happens during this chat, that may be why, because it looked like that YouTube's having a new type of issue where it didn't even want to let me set up the chat, and it kept rejecting it every single time. So anyway, but we're just going to move on and hope that everything's going to be fine. I see a ton of people in the room, and I'm so excited and so happy that you guys are here. And I'm really interested to see how this finale is going to turn out. So that's what I want to focus on, of course, today. And I felt like last night's episode was just absolutely incredible. And for me, it was the most intense moment at the end that they've ever done in this show, which is saying a lot because they've had some super intense moments in this show before, as we all know. But for me, I was just, if you watch my live reaction or if you were here last night, I was literally on the edge of my seat, completely freaking out because I thought for sure Frank was going to pull the trigger. And it took me a while, honestly, after watching that to be okay. I was very stressed. I was very tense. I was worried because as much as Frank is not the best person, we know he killed Lila. That was terrible. We know he's done other things. He was responsible for Annalise's baby's death. It bothers me, and I don't want him to die. And it really bothered me that Annalise was cheering for him to kill himself. And thank God for Bonnie, because I don't trust her most of the time. But thank God she stepped in there and said, don't do it. Now, we still don't know if he's going to go through with it. I really thought if he was, especially with our viewer discretion messages, he was going to go through with it last night. So I'm kind of thinking that means he's not going to do it. But I'm wondering if we're going to open up with him in that same position next week. I don't know. But I'm really wondering if we could see more than one death next week. I'm really thinking that is the case. But I'm still very strongly believing that we will lose a very important, very fan-favorited, loved cast member. I do not think Nate is going to be that person. If we lose Nate, I feel like we will lose someone else. But I'm going to get to your comments now because I see so many of them, and I want to try to get to as many as I can. You can always comment a second time if I don't see you. But anyway, hi to Wit, hi from Adam, or hi to Adam in the UK. Russell says that I think Frank probably ended up killing himself and then Annalise started the fire. Oh, God. You know what, though? This bothers me so much. What if he does kill himself and she starts the fire, like Russell is saying, to cover up the fact that he killed himself, which I really don't get that because, well, here's the thing. If he killed himself, why would we need to cover anything up? Because he's not there to talk. So unless Bonnie was threatening to turn her in or something, I don't know. Because, they could all say, he came in here, he was out of his mind. He said he was going to kill himself. We said no, and he did it. That can be their thing. They're not going to, I don't see, even if he killed himself with Annalise saying, kill yourself, he's still the one who did it. So that's not going to add up because she wouldn't be arrested. Maybe she's arrested but I think they said she was charged with murder, right? So I'm feeling like it's not going to be him. And if it is him, he doesn't go out that way. Ralph, thank you for being here. Says Annalise asking Bonnie if she said something means Frank. No, he thinks Frank killed himself and Bonnie kept hush hush about it. But how is she charged with murder if Frank kills himself? All they have to say is that he was, he's been out of control. He's been out of his mind, and he came in here and we tried to talk him down and he did it. It's been so good lately. Okay, I am definitely trying to get back. Okay. Oh, looks like I'm coming back. I am coming back. Okay. Yay. Okay. If I know a lot of people were commenting and I couldn't reply because you guys couldn't hear me. So please reply again. But just like I said, if you missed being here at the very beginning, there's some serious issues with the live system today that I can't even, with all my different ways and tricks, I can't override because it wasn't letting me set this chat up. It kept telling me I couldn't initiate it and everything. So we may have more problems. I'm so sorry. Some things I just can't figure out. But anyway, Eli thinks that Wes lied and said she killed Frank when he killed himself. Okay, so that could be happening. In that case, I mean, or maybe I don't know, because Bonnie was there, and if he kills himself, then she's the alibi to be like, no, he killed himself, unless she wants to backstab Annalise. I don't know. Victoria says, totally believe that Laurel will die in the promo. I'm worried about that as well. She says, looks like part of the K5 were surrounding her hospital bed. The mailman is under the sheet. So you think it's just a random, totally unrelated person. I don't think it's going to be an unknown person under the sheet, but it could be someone that we don't care as much as about. Like I've said Simon several times, no one cares about him. I mean, it would be really weird if it was that Thomas guy, but who knows? Maybe Connor kills that Thomas guy. Have we ever thought about that? Because I mean, yes, he slept with him only to get back at Oliver, but maybe he's so insanely jealous he does something really stupid or does something because maybe, you know, obviously they were getting along, but maybe they start a fight. I don't know. Ethan wonders if the person under the sheet is someone who we thought was safe. I do not think they're going to go there, because then they would have been lying to us all season. So if they kill a second person, that person cannot be under the sheet, and then they're not lying, if that makes sense. But the person under the sheet, I do not think it will be one of the men that they have already proven as safe, okay? Just because this show doesn't do that kind of thing. They don't play those types of games where they lie right out. Roa thinks that Frank killed Bonnie, and honestly, that gave me chills, but why would he? Because she was telling him, don't do it. And I know they had, you know, their issues recently, but Ralph says you were right about Connor being safe, so it's got to be Frank and no longer Nate. They're making us feel emotionally bad for Frank, so it has more of an impact. But isn't that super, super obvious? Doesn't there have to be something else that happens, especially when we're talking about this show? I mean, to me, it's been very obvious and a huge possibility, but such surface level possibility that we lose Frank all season. And I'm hoping that it wasn't going to go that way just because, well, I like him, and because this show's way smarter than that. So if that is the case and man under the sheet is Frank, I still feel like we're going to lose someone else, because otherwise we all kind of knew what was coming. They basically told us what was coming last night. Adam says, do I think Laurel is becoming like Annalise? He thinks she'll miscarry and start evolving into her. Well, I think she's not nearly as hateful and awful and mean as Annalise can be. She, even after everything that Frank has done, and she felt bad for him, she wanted him to get back into her home and to be safe and everything in last night's episode. Ralph says that Nate is not a big impact death. Absolutely not. And to be completely honest, he hasn't had very much of a role this season. He's had bigger roles in previous seasons, half seasons. We've barely seen him this season, and the role he hasn't been great. And, you know, they could have really developed his relationship with Annalise. Maybe they got engaged or something crazy, you know, where they were like really in love, and then we could have killed him off. That would have been making more sense. But I've never looked at him, even though, yes, he's a series regular. Is he a main star of the show? No. Would people cry at home if he died? Well, we're going to miss looking at him, but I'm not invested in him emotionally. I think we've all, and many of us have become very invested to Frank emotionally this season. So Beck is asking a good question about Michaela's mom and what is her role in all of this. We've never met this woman, but we keep bringing her up. They don't appear to have a good relationship currently, and then we know that she's going to be there in the finale because we've seen her before. I don't know what the deal with that is. I don't think that she'll die or anything. I don't know if there's anything they're going to do with her this half of the season, or if they're going to use her in the second half and they're setting her up right now. David says maybe it will be, well, here's the other point, like, all right, well, now Frank could be the one under the sheet. Now, when Annalise looks under the sheet, she looks shocked. That could be acting. So we can believe she does know who it is, or maybe we believe she doesn't. I think she probably does know who it is. We also have a question from Esther about Maggie. What's her point? I don't know. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I felt like she was very shady, and could be involved in how all this unfolds. We do know she's going to be a part of the finale. We see her attempting to help Laurel, supposedly. I just thought of something that's really diabolical, but let's just see what you think about this. Now, we know that Maggie is one of the main assistants for Laurel. Have you guys thought about her causing Laurel's death? I know that's crazy, but remember, she was really jealous when she saw that Laurel and Wes were a thing. And she doesn't seem to be super crazy or anything. But if we lose a big person, I mean, Laurel seemed okay, but I know anything can happen. I mean, she was in some of the flash forwards we've seen, she seemed alert and she was trying to speak and everything. But what, anything, if you're in the hospital and you have a vendetta against someone, if you work in the hospital, you could do whatever to her IV and make her flatline. I mean, that's real crazy and really out there. And I don't know if this woman is that insane, but that's just a thought. Chad is asking, why is Nate putting his job at stake for Wes? Well, they used to have like these secret meetings the second half of last season. So I don't know. I thought maybe that's going to play into the plan against Annalise, if that is real. Because now in our flash forward, Annalise acted to Bonnie like she didn't know who would be turning her in, and she thought maybe it was Bonnie. But again, all of that could be just an act because we know she's the master manipulator. So now we have this issue with Oliver that we need to talk about once again, but new developments from this episode. Fergus says, why do I think Oliver is acting weird? First he breaks up with him, then he sleeps with him, and then he breaks his heart again. I had a very huge problem with Oliver last night because he wanted to know all of the details of basically what I look at as Connor's job that are confidential. And the reason that Connor doesn't share those details is it's exactly what he said. It's trying to protect Oliver because he cares about him. And he just can't get him involved in all of this stuff because a lot of that stuff implicates everyone, all the Keating Five, criminally. So I didn't like the way that Oliver was talking to Connor and telling him he was a bad person for not sharing all of his secrets. Those really aren't secrets to me. That's not personal life secrets. That's his job. To me, it's no different really than if Connor worked for the FBI or was a police officer or detective and Oliver kept asking, like, what happened in this case or what happened with that, when all of that is supposed to be confidential and you're not supposed to share that with anyone, no matter how much you love them. And it's really, really not any of Oliver's business, but I know that he's been dying to get in with the Keating Five to be a part of that crowd. So I'm still going with my theory that there's something not right with Oliver. We have no background info on him. We have no dirt on him. Everyone else, we know they've had some stuff in their past because every person does in real life. And why have they chosen to not dig into any of that, expose any of that in the show? So I definitely think something is going on with him, has been going on with him for quite a while. When will that be revealed? I don't know. Brave Lion, hi. Brave Lion is from Germany. We're just talking about Oliver and the confrontation he had with Connor last night, and what does that mean? So there's so many different things that could happen, and then with this show, as you know, because it is incredibly smart, there are things that we can't even predict that might happen, which I am hoping, of course, to be shocked, as always. As I say in every show that I cover, it's more exciting to me that they surprise me with something amazing than that we all figured every little bit out and we're just watching what we talked about unfold. There's some satisfaction in that, but at the same time, don't you love the moments in a television show where you're just, oh my God, shocked? That's really what I watch these types of shows for. Adam thinks Laurel kills Maggie. I don't really know what her motivation would be to kill Maggie, and I don't think anyone at home would care if Maggie died. So I think the other way around could happen, although it's pretty crazy. So I don't know. But there's just something that they've hinted at so many times subtly, and now they're really hinting at not so subtly about Oliver, not just something not right. And he was saying he wanted to get away from Thomas, and Thomas seemed to want to get away from him, and then he's sending him flowers. He's still calling him. Were they still communicating? Was he lying about that? I don't know. I found that kind of strange because in the where they were together before they almost slept together, the guy seemed pretty firm about wanting to get his distance and wanting to get away. And then he's sending roses and everything. I don't know. I know it can happen sometimes, but I know I've seen this comment a couple of times. People wondering, like, Roa, will Oliver kill Connor? We know Connor's not under the sheet because he was our save last night. I don't know. Maybe he finds out that he slept with that guy. That would be such a double standard if Oliver's truly insane. Possibly. So David says you think Frank maybe did kill himself, or it was accidentally killed, or he was accidentally killed, and Annalise started the fire to cover it up, and then Laura went to find Frank and got caught up in the fire. Definitely could make sense, but again, my only issue with that is that we know all of this going into that episode. We know she was injured in the fire. We know it's very likely he's going to die, and this show has the most amazing finales with crazy shock value, and I don't feel like we get a shock value. I mean, there may be something else that's not involving a death. Is it Aladita? Thank you so much for being here. If I said your name wrong, I really do apologize. But again, we have the issue of when we see, thank you, Whit, when we see Frank in this situation where he wants to kill himself, is that not a week before Man Under the Sheet? I mean, it would be pretty disgusting if they kept his body in their house, in her house, for a week. That doesn't really add up. So I see what you're saying there. Brave Lion says we can't tell who's dead because Annalise could have acted like she was sad. Right. We mentioned that before you got here. She's really great at acting. Viola is, but so is her character. So she may know who's under the sheet. She may not even like the person under the sheet, but she's going to act really, upset because maybe she knows she's responsible, or it's going to look like she's responsible. So she needs to seem really upset and distraught because we know she becomes responsible, or the police suspect that she's responsible for all of this. So whether or not she is, we'll find out. She's never killed anyone, so I'm kind of thinking she's not the person who killed that person, but we will see. Stephanie says maybe the president of the university is dead, considering Annalise is helping her now. And we kind of discussed this last night during the live show, and we all kind of forgot that it has to be a man under the sheet. So we have that. Now, I feel like if they're going to have a second death in the show, they don't want to kill someone that we don't really care about. I think they would kill someone with major shock value. There is definitely something suspicious with the amount of time that they've given the Dean in this season, especially since she's a new character. She's had so much screen time, and honestly, her storyline and her character, they're kind of boring. So I do feel like they're preparing something with her for us, whether that's going to be the finale or that's going to be the second half. But yes, we were really theorizing, and we had her under the sheet and everything. But we have to remember the person under the sheet is definitely a man, definitely could be someone lame, or it could be Frank or Nate. But I do not think it'll be any of the men that they have shown us at the end of each episode to be safe. Now, I saw people talking last night and asking if her son was Thomas. People have also asked me if her son is Simon. I did not get that from the episode. If that was flat out mentioned, let me know. If they told it to us and we missed, or I missed it, let me know. I think those are theories or assumptions, but I don't know. Ralph says they did keep Rebecca's body in the basement for a couple of days, so they could keep Frank's body for a week. Okay. I wonder what the issue would be with that. Like, why keep him for that long? Or were they trying to figure out what to do to take that long to figure it out, and then they came up with the fire idea? I don't know. Thomas is the guy who was dating or hooking up with Oliver, who also hooked up with Connor. But there's a huge emphasis on the Dean, and she does talk about her kids. And I think someone mentioned in one of my videos or one of my comments that there was a teenage boy photo in her home that they thought looked like Simon at the time, but Simon and Thomas both have dark hair. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Frank won't die or won't kill himself, or maybe he will not kill himself and he gets killed. I hate that, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I just don't see Annalise being cool with waiting an entire week, having a dead body in the house or wherever. But maybe they'll explain it, you know. We also have the Dean's ex-husband, who R2 is talking about, who seems to be, or the person she's going through a divorce with, who seems to be like a loose cannon, abusive. I definitely thought last night that he could play into this somehow, but my issue with that is that we've never even seen this man, and to make him a big part of the finale, or to make him go crazy and try to kill her or whatever, I don't know, that just seems weird and out of place. To put that in a finale, like maybe in an episode, but the finale seems, with so much other stuff going on, I don't know. I don't think he would be under the sheet or anything, because we've never even seen him, and if we see the person's face under the sheet, we would just be like, okay. I mean, and I think Annalise wouldn't care at all, because she's never seen him, you know, unless she's married to someone that's been a part of the storyline and we just don't know it, which maybe that's going to happen. I mean, that's what's so crazy about this show, because literally they could bring someone back from season 1 that's her husband. I don't know. There's been some insignificant people. Frank is the daddy of Laurel's baby. Is that what you're saying, Butterfly Queen? David doesn't think that Simon will be dead, as he hasn't really had that much screen time recently, and you feel that he would be more present if he was going to die in the finale, which totally could be the truth. Jamie says if Laurel dies, you think Annalise will try to get really close to her, hope she doesn't use the baby as revenge against Wes if he turns against her, or Frank for obvious reasons. Roa's thinking Laurel is going to die. I really am feeling like she could, and I don't know how that's going to go down, but if that happens, and I'm going to do a big video on all my thoughts and predictions, that'll be up tomorrow. If she dies, there's a lot of different ways that could go down. The crazy Maggie theory. Also, we don't know what types of injuries she has. She may have a lot of internal damage from smoke. She looks okay, let's be honest. She doesn't seem, I don't know if she's burnt. Where is that? I don't know. It's not on her face or anything. But she could start having some internal issues and just die from those. I don't know. Brave Lion says Laurel and Frank's got so much screen time this season. Isn't that usually when the shown person is going to die? Yeah, I mean, really this half season has been so dedicated to Frank. He's had more screen time, more backstory time than anyone. If he does die, we know he kind of died going out doing the right thing. He was in a situation where he could return to his old ways and kill that woman. And he found some compassion because she did have a small child and he didn't kill her. So maybe they're letting us know that he's kind of turned around. He feels bad. He feels bad about the Annalise situation, which he has for a while. We're seeing his vulnerable side. But I don't know. I guess Frank is a really huge favorite. I think whoever it is that dies, and if it's 2 people, one of those people is going to be someone that is a fan favorite. It's going to really bother a lot of people. Forza is here from Brazil. Thank you so much for being here. Nikki says that the show has always been pretty straightforward. No twists with this show that make no sense, basically. So you think that Nate will be under the sheet. Yeah, I mean, I just think if Nate's under the sheet, we lose someone else big, because if you looked at any of the interviews or any of the tweets from cast members like Carla Souza, who plays Laurel, they said we want to, break our TV, that we're just going to be, they're devastated. I mean, I do like Nate, totally fine with him, have nothing against him, but I don't see Twitter blowing up if he dies. And again, they haven't utilized him in a way to make him super important this half season where we would have even more compassion for him. My favorite character, you're from Bangladesh. Awesome. My favorite character, I really love Laurel, and I actually really like Frank, so I'm really worried. Who's your favorite? I do like the Keating 5. I will throw out there is could we lose Asher or Michaela? Could we lose Michaela because her mom is in the picture next episode? I don't know. I mean, there's nothing making us think we could lose those 2, but I don't know. Maybe that's not going to happen. So Ralph says you don't see Frank being welcomed back into the fold that easy. He's just gone so far. He can't go back even if we forgive him. Well, it looks like Annalise, that's a great point. And it looks like there's no way she's going to forgive him or want to be around him because she seriously wants him dead. So, I mean, that's probably the best point I've seen tonight is how can he go on? How can the show go on with him in his position that he had before? I don't think it can. Because of that, I think it is pretty obvious he's going to die now that you say that. It's weird to me that they played out the suicide thing and had that so emotional if he is our person who dies. Unless they have him commit suicide at the very beginning of next week. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, and maybe there's a reason maybe if Nate dies, we have a reason. Maybe somebody that we trust kills him. Maybe Oliver kills him. I'm just throwing a lot of stuff out right now, just talking through it. But, Jamie's wondering if Michaela's mom kills her and the person under the sheet is irrelevant. That would come out of left field. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they're making such a big deal out of Michaela's mom. And Roa has said that if Laurel dies, Frank will live. I do think for sure if we lose a big character, if they want to kill a second person, it will not be a huge character. So I think we can feel good about that. If we lose a giant character, we won't lose 2. They're not going to do that kind of thing. That would just be devastating. Yeah, Asher, I love his comic relief. He's great, definitely. I don't want to lose anybody. I mean, if you were to ask me who I would be okay with losing, it would be Nate. Because like if you follow me on Twitter, if you have Twitter, like that's the best way to keep up with me, especially next week because I'm going to be out of town, but I'm going to still try to do most of the stuff I normally do for shows. Yes, Wit, I do see your name. But anyway, if you want to follow me on Twitter just so that you can keep informed and know what I'm doing, or just bookmark my Twitter or whatever, because that's the best way to know what's going on and when the next show is and everything. Now I've like completely lost what I was going to say. Oh, I said last night that I fully expect to cry during the finale and cry on camera. But I mean, guys, I just don't feel like if they kill Nate, I'm gonna cry. It's not because I want him to die, but I don't feel like emotionally invested with him. Do you guys? I mean, maybe I know there's probably some diehard Nate fans, and I really have nothing against him, but I just don't see people going nuts on Twitter or people like being like, oh my God, I just don't see it. So I don't know. Well, no, actually, Nate told Annalise he was dating the district attorney, actually. So, oh yeah, no, I can see you fine, Wit. Nikki asked if I feel like the show will end soon. They're running out of ways for characters to evolve. Well, I mean, this is the start of the third season and this first half, and they always split it into halves. So no, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. They have a way to extend it and, always be relevant because we split the seasons. So I think it'll return maybe like February or something. I think that's usually what happens. So I don't think so. I could see it going to like 5 seasons. I don't know, at least. So what do I think was on the phone that Annalise told Oliver to wipe? That's something that we don't know yet. And we don't really have the clues to answer that, I don't think. Who was Bonnie talking to on the phone? Asked Adam. We don't know that either. We have our guesses, but she was telling that person that Laurel was pregnant. I say it's Wes, personally, especially now after everything's gone down, but I don't know. Wit says, really confused at this point. Last person you care about is Nate or Wes, but we know it's not him. Yeah, I really feel confident that it's not Nate unless they need to kill him off for some reason. If they do, I think, and also what I've said a few times, if we get the reveal of who's under the sheet very early, I really suspect it'll be someone we don't care much about. Even it could be possibly Nate, but I think you should know right away that we will lose someone big after that. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to start it off in a flash forward, if they're going to start it off with Frank trying to kill himself, if they're going to start it off with the body. I don't know. I'm very excited. Jason says you think it still could be Wes, and I've actually seen people commenting that on my videos. So again, if you guys believe the theory that I put up last week, I think anyone's possible. And they could completely trick us by putting someone lame under the sheet, killing someone that they already named as safe. Ro is asking if I think Asher will die. I think it's very unlikely that Asher or Michaela will die, but I think it would be really strange and it would be shocking just because we definitely don't expect either of them to die. And what will happen the second half, I think Brave Lion depends on what plays out in this half, but I definitely think we'll be wondering who the father of Laurel's baby is unless she dies. The baby is like 4 weeks old, not like, like really young, like it was just conceived, 4 weeks prior. So there's no way for her to give birth to the baby and she dies or whatever. So if she dies, we do lose the baby. And that's the other point of this. They've made such a big deal. I don't know if she dies because of that, because they had that storyline set up for us, and that's something they can play into for the next half of the season. Who's the baby daddy? If she dies, we lose that opportunity. So I think you can think about that for those of you who think Laurel is going to die, and I really hadn't thought about that until now, but they have set up perfectly for us to have the who is the daddy debate for not next week, the next half of the season. If she dies, who cares? Because sadly, the baby is not going to make it either. She had sex with Wes like 3 weeks ago. I don't think it's Frank. So I don't know. Maybe that's even irrelevant. Maybe that's something we've come up with and it's irrelevant because we never really saw her with Frank. But you guys know that sometimes things happen in this show that they don't show us till later. So I don't think she hooked up with Frank around that time, but they could try to say they have a flashback later on where they're like, oh, they did hook up at the same time. So I don't know. Okay, thank you, Russell. Russell's saying that this is great news that the second half of this season returns January 19th, which is wonderful. So we won't have to wait too long. I know most of us are busy during the Thanksgiving, well, those of us in America, but definitely in December, most of the world has a lot of stuff going on. So that time will pass quickly, and before you know it, we'll be back watching this show again, which is very exciting. So Makara says, what if Connor kills Wes for snitching? I mean, he did say that he would. Yeah, he definitely said he would. It sounded kind of like an idle threat at the time, but maybe that was foreshadowing the thing that, the chance for him to do that, foreshadowing that it's actually going to happen. Whit Duck says they may not want to have that debate or have a character actually be pregnant, so maybe that's why she will die. That's another thing. That's another really great thing to think about. If Laurel lives and the baby lives, we also have this. We could have the situation where Laurel lives, but because of her injury, she loses the baby, and that is revealed in this finale. But if she lives and the baby lives, I don't think she could be part of the Keating Five anymore. So we really need to think about that. And maybe that's another hint that she will die, because I don't see a pregnant woman being involved in this situation, in that kind of crazy world that they work in and live in. And then after having the baby, they wouldn't want a new mother getting involved in their schemes and everything. I think she would have to leave. I am very concerned about that now. If we lose Frank and Laurel, that will just be the worst. I personally think the only way Laurel can survive is if the baby is lost because of injuries in the fire. Because there's just no way they're going to have a pregnant woman doing all this junk. I mean, it's just not great. There'd be no way. She probably wouldn't want to do it. They definitely wouldn't want her to do it. And even if she did stuff being pregnant, then she's going to have the baby. And then what happens? So I think she's a great possibility to die. And that really bothers me. Yeah. So either that, or she needs to lose the baby, because if she doesn't, I think we can if it doesn't look like she's going to lose the baby, I'm just saying, let's say she gets released from the hospital and she seems fine, then our chances of her losing the baby are low. Then I think she's going to die in another way. So that's what I'm thinking. Jamie could see her being involved at least for the rest of the season and think that Annalise will be baby crazy or use the baby for revenge. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. But I just feel like she wouldn't be a main star of the show anymore, because I just don't buy into that. And especially since she is not married, she doesn't have someone to help her take care. I mean, maybe she gets married to the baby's father. I don't know. But it would just be like a single mom. And I don't see how a single mom would want to be tied up in all of that, even after the baby. But yeah, I would love to see who you think will die. Like, we could just pick one person. Maybe we could do that on my video that I put up tomorrow. I'll ask you guys that question. And since we've been told one person, well, that's hard because we know one guy is going to die, but I think there'll be more people who die. So I guess you can say tomorrow, I'll ask you during the video, up to 2 people who are your guesses for dying. And you can just give me one guy's name, because we know for sure one guy is going to die. If you only think one guy is going to die, we may only lose one person in the finale. We're not sure that we're losing other people, so we'll have to see. Yeah, I know she's the only Latina on the probably on the whole show. So Ralph thinks that she won't die, but they could always replace her with another girl like her, There's always going to be new students, and they could write in a new character, which sucks. I don't want that to happen, but so Roa says Laurel's baby can die. If she makes it, she could die in the hospital or wherever she will go. Makara thinks Laurel and the baby survives and she ends up getting an abortion. That's a tough topic to tackle. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that. That's another option. That's another way to deal with that. I don't know. That way she's not going to be pregnant anymore. We'll see. But it's looking very likely that we lose Frank, and we could possibly lose Laurel. And those are my guesses, even though I don't like those guesses. I don't like that. It really, really bothers me. Hi, Kiara. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to say quickly, if you haven't subscribed to me yet, maybe you have just seen me a few times, or this is your first time finding me, I will be covering How to Get Away with Murder basically till it's off the air, I guess. I mean, I plan on it. Definitely covering the rest of the season and the second half of the season. So please subscribe, thumbs up this video if you enjoy it. And down below in the down bar, you will find a list of all of the shows I'm currently covering. I will add Westworld to that next week, and I'm going to start off with just doing recap videos because where I have so many shows going on at once, I don't have the time for live shows. Oh, actually, though, I forgot to tell you, I think I will start doing Westworld live chats on Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern, so we'll work that into it. I do not think I'll be doing live reaction shows for that show because, well, I can't because The Walking Dead is on at the same time. But I will try to do, my plan is to start doing Westworld live chats Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll talk about that more on Twitter if you follow me there. And also doing videos because, you know, we're going to lose How to Get Away with Murder and American Horror Story after next week. So that'll give me some more time to focus on new things and new shows. She does have a Jennifer Connelly. Ralph is saying that's who Laurel reminds him of, and she definitely has a Jennifer Connelly vibe. I totally get that. Westworld's really good. It's on HBO, and if you have access to HBO Go, if you don't have HBO, then that is a great way to catch up on it. I do have HBO and HBO Go, but for me, I didn't start watching it at the beginning, so I had to watch it all on HBO Go, and I actually have one more episode to watch before Sunday, so I've got to get on that. It's just been insane. I can't wait to hear your guys' Westworld theories because, wow, talk about a show that you could theorize for days on. If that's something that you guys love, and I think you do, if you have access to HBO or HBO Go, I would definitely suggest you start watching that if you have some extra time because it's just the first season and you've missed 6 episodes. So it's so good that it was something I wanted to keep watching and binge, you know? So I would suggest that highly, but I know that's going to be sort of an issue for some people who don't want to pay or don't have access to HBO. So I totally understand that, and I'm sorry if you want to watch it and can't, but I hope that you will watch it if you can and join us for all the chats and everything. Scream Queens is supposedly coming back next Tuesday, so which is crazy because I felt like, sadly for the show, it's been kind of done injustice because it's barely been on and it'll be on and be gone for like 2 weeks. So I'm not really that into it right now because I don't even remember what's going on, honestly. But as far as this show, How to Get Away with Murder, my video will be up tomorrow with my final predictions for the finale and asking you guys, what are your predictions for the finale? I'm going to wrap this up tonight, but I just really appreciate you so much for being here and talking to me and sharing your theories. It's so much fun. I can't wait till next week. If you had not heard, I will be in New York next week. I'm going to try to live stream during the finale. I don't know how well that's going to work based on the hotel Wi-Fi. I'm going to do my very best to do that because it's very important to me. I do have a backup plan. I will discuss that more once I get to my hotel and know if I can stream or not. And that's going to be on Periscope because I want you guys to still be able to watch it with me. Periscope's can work from my data on my phone, so we can do that. It's very easy to sign up if you don't have Periscope. I actually haven't even used mine in like a year, so I'm going to have to reopen it or whatever. But I'm just giving you guys a heads up on that, but we'll discuss it more as time goes on. I'm going to be in my hotel Wednesday morning. I'll figure out if I'm going to be able to stream or whatever. So don't worry about it now. But I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will see you tomorrow with my new How to Get Away with Murder video. I love you guys, and this is like such a great, fun part of my life. So thank you for being part of my life and making my day better every day. So bye, guys.